Welcome to Nothing to Be Found with myself, Samuel. And today we are looking straight at the thing that most of us spend a lifetime trying to build and maintain and defend, and that is the self. Who we think we are, who we try to be, who we fear we aren't. This episode's not about destroying the self, it's about seeing it clearly, holding it lightly, and remembering that at the center of all this experience, there's something quietly watching it all unfold. And I've dissolved plenty versions of myself in the past, but they've just not always been in the most healthy ways. And back in my sort of reckless days, Mandy, MDMA, was sort of my gateway to dissolving these edges. And that would be whether it be at raves or someone's kitchen, just this euphoric sort of blissed out love for anyone like within my arm's reach. And yeah, there was beauty in those moments for sure. Walls down, future worries gone, past stories melted, just this raw, euphoric presence. And Ket did that too, and psychedelics, obviously. I remember being on Ket watching the documentary, Samsara, and feeling like I wasn't watching it. Like I was it. I was like this god, and like, if you've not seen Samsara, it's this beautiful piece of like cinematography with no dialogue, and it just switches from place to place, showing showing life basically. And I felt like I was God creating these moments, fully immersed in it, like lost all concept of self. And trying to explain it, it's really hard because the words are just words and they don't do the experience any justice because they just defy language. And there was no me, there was no me in the usual sense, just this wide, strange, boundless awareness. And looking back, I'm not quite sure if I was searching for something or running from something. To be fair, it's probably a combination of the two. But here's the thing, extreme highs come with extreme lows. What comes up must come down. It's the law of opposites. But years later, like on this yoga meditation journey, it's all showed me something pretty wild. And that's that you don't have to wreck yourself to lose yourself. And practicing the headless way, as shared by Richard Lang, changed me in ways no drug ever did. Like looking for my face and just finding space, realizing that at center, I'm ageless, timeless, unmoving, no high, no low, just this neutral, silent, witnessing presence. And it's not euphoric. It's not depressing. It just is. I mean, it's very neutral. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. Like, you don't need anything outside yourself to get there. And whilst we can always fall back into these conditioned patterns that we have as human beings, the practice and the constant practice of remembering and bringing yourself back to this open spaciousness, it's always there, always accessible. And that's the thing that no book, no podcast can give you. Experience is the only real teacher. It's a bit like telling a kid not to touch fire. Like they're gonna touch it. And they're going to learn quickly that fire burns. Like, do not touch the fire. But it's like when you tell kids most things, it'll go one ear out the other. They need to experience it. We need to find out. We can't just be told, don't do this. There needs to be some sort of experience, some embodied rawness behind it. And like listening to Alan Watts, Ram Dass, Krishnamurti, they gave me words and a lot of like intellectual knowledge around stuff on this path. But sitting, practicing, being headless, that's what gives me knowing. And even watching True Detective years ago, the first season where Matthew McConaughey plays a character called Russ Cole. And this is before I even started practicing any yoga or anything on this path. But I still remember it now because it really hit me deep. And he says, I'll read it out now. To realize that all your life, all your love, all your hate, all your memory, all your pain, it was all the same thing. It was all the same dream. A dream that you had inside a locked room. A dream about being a person. And like a lot of dreams, there's a monster at the end of it. And that was like, whoa, like, do you mean? And I don't think like back then the depth of it hit me as much as it does now. Because it's true. We're literally dreaming this self into existence all day long. Constantly, this future idea of ourselves, the past idea of ourselves is all an illusion. And just because you've seen through this illusion, though, it doesn't mean that it doesn't creep back in. And a student said to me the other week, your classes feel like a journey. And it was a beautiful compliment, but I noticed my mind straight away. Better keep up with this. What if the next class doesn't feel like a journey? What if you lose it? Do you know what I mean? That awful critic in the mind. Because that's how the ego works. Sneaky, subtle, later, and when no one's watching. It's the same with names. I had this thing recently, and it sounds really stupid to say it out loud, but I've been called by different names over the years. So work colleagues will call me Sam. Like my mum will call me Sam unless I was in trouble, and she'd call me Samuel. And then people who knew me from my teenage years on will call me Jimson, which is my surname. And that was even how I used to release music as Jimson. But my name on my birth certificate is Samuel. And I was like, well, it's a really nice name. I actually like the name Samuel. I'm going to start using that as my name. Like, I'm going to release music as it from now on. I'm going to teach yoga and introduce myself as Samuel to people that haven't met me. But in my mind, it's this really weird thing, like kicking off, like, who do you think you are changing your name? And like, it's like this whole thing going on in the mind of just something so silly as a name, which doesn't actually mean anything. Because it's funny, because I'm all of them and yet none of them. They are merely words, but then the mind can build this whole dilemma around it. And this is why I love meeting new people for the first time, because there's no past, there's no stories, there's just this presence. And they're truly meeting you for who you are in the moment, and you're truly meeting them for who they are in the moment. Because we carry this myth that we've been this one coherent self from birth until now. But it's not true. You're not the one who you were 10 years ago. You're not even the same person as you were when you started listening to this episode. And that's freedom. If you've changed that much already, why hold so tightly to who you think you are today? Just let it shift, let it die, and just allow it to be born again. And these days, the things that help me remember are sitting, breathing, feeling the body, mindful movement, yogasana, not for escape, but for return. And this human stuff is the real practice. Being grounded, being messy, being human. And I still get lost. I still get caught up in these roles, in fear, in wanting to be liked or admired or safe. But I just return more often now. And it's not because I've mastered anything, but it's because I've glimpsed the truth. Just glimpses, or satori, as they say in Buddhism. And it's glimpsing it just enough to know that it's always here. And it's always waiting beneath the noise, ever present, not out there, not in some distant future, but right here, closer than close. The self is a story. It's a useful one, but it ain't the truth. Because what you really are cannot be held in a name or a thought or a feeling. It's much simpler than that. Much quieter than that. Much more ordinary than you might like. And once you taste it, there's nothing else quite like it. So stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, there's nothing to be found.